But the problem for an outsider and the problem for another supporter or someone independent to this is that there's too much. They're not interested, they've made up their minds, and they want to move on. They're not going to be brought back to the problem unless there's something that really is compelling to them. And it's got to be simple. And surprisingly, and I might be jumping the gun a bit here, but it goes back to a program that the ABC 730 report ran in April 2013, soon after this problem started. 730, and I haven't seen any refutation by ASADA to this. So the caveat is, this is a secondary source, but I gather because it hasn't been refuted, that it must be accurate. So let's look at the conversation, or let's look at the details of this program. 730 obtained a series of text messages spanning more than 6 months between Stephen Dank and Melbourne's club doctor, Dan Bates, between mid-2012 and February 5, 2013. Bates to Dank: Trengove is not going to Darwin, so I don't need the Thymomodulin for tomorrow. Bates to Dank: when can we book the guys for the injections? We will need to give them times. Bates to Dank: mate, what's the final word on the injections? I have players calling me for confirmation. Dank to Bates: spoke to ASADA, they will confirm by email, no issues their end. In late January 2013, a timetable for injections was set out for 7 players. As ABC 730 noted, the text showed Dank and Bates discussed a wide range of substances, including AOD 9604, cerebrolsin, and Thymomodulin. Now, let's look at that. That's texts. That is the same standard of evidence that the Court of Arbitration of Sport used to find the Essendon players guilty. Now, we think about 2 clubs. Essendon's program ran from November 2011 to May 2012. Melbourne's began in mid-2012 and ran through to February the 5th, 2013. I've drawn up a spreadsheet here. I know that's a dirty word in this problem, but it's a spreadsheet of limited form. First half, Melbourne, a tale of 2 clubs. First half of 2012, second half of 2012. And I've put the architect. The architect was Stephen Dank, as we all know. It was for both clubs a supplements program with multiple individuals. In both clubs there were injections. In both clubs no positive samples. In both clubs there was secrecy, and I would describe it as competitive secrecy. In both clubs the evidence is there of electronic texts. Admittedly a more limited program with Melbourne, but the evidence is there. The most important thing though is this reference to Thymomodulin. Think through the logic of the problem. Rather than think of the smoking gun, think of the logic. ASADA did not penalise Melbourne. Not to my knowledge. And ASADA has not refuted this. That means that ASADA has accepted, remember electronic text are the standard of evidence. ASADA has accepted that Stephen Dank used Thymomodulin and AOD 9604 at Melbourne. They have accepted that because they haven't penalised them. They have accepted. If they didn't accept that, they would have been looking for Thymosin beta 4. They have accepted that Melbourne and Dank prescribed Thymomodulin and AOD 9604. So there are only two possibilities. And this is how simple this problem really should be. Either Dank used Thymosin beta 4 at Essendon and then flipped over and started using Thymomodulin in the second half of the year, or Dank used Thymomodulin on both programs. It's as simple as that. Which is it? Did Dank switch from Thymosin beta 4 to Thymomodulin, or did he keep with Thymomodulin all through 2012? Now, I looked at this question logically rather than with a sense of bias. And I started to think, well, how would you work out what the probabilities of that were? Because that is the question. It's got nothing to do with strands of the cable. It's got the length of the chain was compelling, but that's the question. Did Dank switch over from Thymosin beta 4 to Thymomodulin? And the answer is almost certainly no. Because those text messages suggested that Dank indeed used Thymomodulin at some stage during 2012. The answer to whether Essendon were injected with Thymosin beta 4 that answer wasn't found backwards in 2011, it was found forwards. It was found in the next program that Dank went on to. Because why would he, if Thymosin beta 4 being so effective, why would he switch? He didn't have any determination at that stage that it was illegal. Why would he switch? He would stay with Thymosin, the Thymomodulin, the good Thymosin as he described it. And the last reason I think Dank stayed with the Thymomodulin, the reason I think he also, a compelling reason, is that we are creatures of habit. We don't switch like that. If it's working, we typically stay with it. And I mean, CAS themselves said Essendon won 8 of the first 9 games in the 2013 season. In other words, there's not a case that he switched. It doesn't stand up. The evidence in the Melbourne matter was the most significant evidence there. It's been there all the way along. ASADA have not refuted it. ASADA have never referred to it. The CAS never drew attention to it. It's the most relevant evidence of all. It wasn't back towards 2011 that mattered. It was what Dank went on to that mattered, and that's the key, in my view, to the case. The case is as simple as that. If you want to convince one of your non-Essendon people about this matter, it's on this slide. You've got 2 programs in the same year. One is penalised 3 times. The other is penalised not at all. The evidence to penalise Essendon was exactly the same standard of proof as the evidence that has exonerated Melbourne. I don't dislike the Melbourne Football Club. Comes back to this issue of targeting. This was targeting, without question.